So I have Chris Slightham here with me. Okay, so I've been telling this story to people that Grandpa started brokerage.
Grandpa and father.
I was right.
You're right.
I've been saying this to everyone.
That's good.
So Grandpa started brokerage, and then Dad,
Yeah.
and then this was Royal LePage when it's just in infancy, right?
No, we started as a family, Slightham Real Estate, our last name.
Okay.
That was the name of the company in 1965. So we're 60 years this year.
Okay. Wow. All right. And then
Royal LePage we took the brand name in 2001.
Okay.
Because the industry was changing, technology. Real estate used to be a really local business, right, in the neighborhood. And then with the internet, now we're selling houses, all over the province.
Absolutely.
And so having that national brand recognition became really, really, important.
Yeah, absolutely. And you guys are where you are now. And anybody that thinks I've had any success in this business would understand that a lot of it falls on the shoulders of the Slightham family and this brokerage, incredible brokerage. It's my first only brokerage, as you know. I shopped around, but I landed here. I landed here in 2018. It was the best decision I made. And
appreciate that.
Someone today at the office was saying, "You're doing great." And I was like, you know what, though? It boils down to the support that you have, and been able to create a team and do the things that we're able to do, all because of the support. And I really appreciate you, Jeff, and the rest of the management team for allowing just not myself but everyone else in real estate, in this brokerage, to do what they're able to do now.
Thank you.
So I've had some quick questions that I wanted to ask you, and these are not serious questions, but there's just some things that I want to understand.
Yeah.
So I just want you to reflect on some of the things that you've experienced. A lot of things in this brokerage. One of them is, what's the craziest thing you've seen happen in a real estate deal? We're not going to name names, but just something that just...
Well, we've had people not move out
after the closing.
At closing.
Okay.
Yeah. And technically they're now trespassing.
Yeah.
They're literally breaking the law by not leaving the property once, the keys, the money's exchanged.
Yeah.
Like, they've got the money.
Yeah.
And they're still in the house.
And titles changed.
The lawyers have changed, and they're not out yet. So that's one. That's a tricky one.
Yeah.
People have removed things from houses that were included, in the sale. And sometimes maybe you could claim it's a lack of, not being aware, but anything that's kind of bolted down really, should stay. Light fixtures, we've had situations where you go in and there's not one light fixture in the property.
Oh, wow.
Like you hit the switch and there's...
It's all gone.
Did they turn the power off? No. There's power there, but there's no light.
Absolutely.
So it's just some crazy stuff.
Oh my God, I can imagine. For example, were we on the representing the seller or the buyer?
We were representing the buyer on the one that was missing the fixtures.
The fixtures? Yeah.
And actually, we were representing buyers on both those scenarios.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I could be. Oh, I can only imagine. Yeah. Definitely. What's something that agents do? And this is just a message to especially the new agents, and just to get a sense of things. But what's one thing agents do that drives you nuts?
Well, not our agents.
No, obviously, out there.
Before you fix
to be
them
clear and get them going the right way, what would you say? Just certain things you see.
Drive me nuts. Not a lot, really. In our world, and truthfully, in our world here at Signature, we've got a great group of people, and so I don't really run into an issue. I think what is challenging out there, because we get our clients complain about it, is people make appointments and they don't show up on time, or they don't show up at all.
Yeah.
And that's really
showing.
Yeah, on a showing.
Yeah.
That's really frustrating.
Yeah.
And that, it's a simple, because that's a simple thing. Like this is not complex. It isn't, contract related or anything. This is just simple common courtesy.
Yeah.
And that really,
Yeah.
that drives me a little crazy when, because homeowners are going out of their way to get their property ready. They've often because we tell our clients, our sellers, leave the property. So it's a buyer can come in and not have you looking over their shoulder and all that sort of, so they arrange their day. And that drives me a little crazy.
Yeah,
it's a simple thing.
No, it is absolutely. It's
common
so
courtesy.
easy to cancel, reschedule, and do any of that stuff.
We're all carrying
I had a
devices.
client that always, when we were selling her property, we listed it, and she would just get in the car with the kids and stay outside.
Yeah,
and she would call me 15 minutes later saying nobody's here.
that's
and
right.
then have 45 minutes into this showing, nobody's here.
Yeah.
And then no call, no cancellation, no excuses, at least something. Yeah, but I
So
get it.
simple.
Yeah.
Right. So that's probably the most frustrating because it really affects the client's experience.
Okay. If you weren't in real estate, Chris, what would you be doing right now?
It's a great question. I get asked that often, and I think I don't know. I've never really. I was one of the kids who followed his dad to work when he was this tall, and kind of. So I do like. I'm fascinated by the hotel industry.
Okay. Yeah.
The whole hospitality component of it, and the design of creating these environments that people like, and I mean like resorts and nice hotels, not I mean there's nothing wrong with the regular hotels as well, but I mean just really nice, well thought out hospitality environments, I think. So I might do something like that. I thought it would be interesting.
You know what's crazy? That's what I left to come here.
That's right. Yeah.
That's exactly. I worked for a firm that did entertainment focused hotels, resorts, large scale projects and stuff. And I thought it was a bit much for me. Like I enjoyed the design aspect of it.
Yeah.
But it became a detail oriented service. Like it wasn't part of the big scale. It was more of, designing this room to a smaller scale and stuff. And, and I switched over. So you might come back to real estate.
Well, that's it. You only know what you know, right? And so looking at it from the outside,
you're in a good place.
I love it. I love it. I love it. It's not even work.
What's one myth about real estate you wish would disappear forever?
That it's easy.
Yeah.
That is easy.
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely.
I think that in from a consumer perspective, and even from people looking to get into the business as professionals, and you can attest to this yourself, that from the outside looking in, it's like, well, what do you really do? You put a sign on the lawn, you put it on the MLS system, and the houses just kind of sell.
Yeah.
And it is so far from the truth. Yeah. But the way that our business works is we try to make it as easy as possible for the clients, and they don't see behind the scenes. And so I think that's a big myth out there. And I think it's a myth for people trying to contemplating getting into the industry. Yeah. And for consumers as well.
Absolutely. And I was looking at, your friend, Jared, who does all the, some of the training as well.
Yeah. Jared James. Yeah.
Jared James. And I was looking at something that he posted the other day, and he said 74% of agents last year did 0 transactions.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's not that easy.
No, it's not.
And the percentage of those that are actually getting things done are very minimum. Like there's a small percentage.
You look at the Toronto Real Estate Board. Toronto Regional Real Estate Board's I think it's one of the largest real estate boards in the world. There's 70-something thousand, over 70,000 members of the Toronto Real Estate Board. Yeah. Well, last month, there was about 3,500 sales. Yeah. 3,500 sales, 70+ thousand licensed members of the board.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
You think about the odds of actually making any revenue last month as a realtor was very low.
Yeah. It doesn't look like it's going to change. But what it helps do, especially for the consumers, is it allows it to to weed out, you know,
Yeah.
some of the ones that are, and it's not to knock part-time agents, or it's
No.
not to knock those who are passionate about it but just don't have maybe the time to do it and things like that. But it gets to the point where those who do work continue to give great service, right?
It's like any industry,
Yeah.
right? There's, the top 5-10% excel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And from a consumer standpoint, the challenge is you have really a better opportunity of running into somebody who's not going to do it well than somebody who is going to do it well. So I think that doesn't help the consumer sentiment towards our industry when that's just odds, right? Just numbers game. But if you do run into a great person, great realtor who who takes the business seriously, who's committed to great service and committed to putting the customer first, the experience is phenomenal.
Absolutely.
And but that's the reality. But any industry, there's great doctors and not so great doctors. There's great dentists, not so great dentists. There's great car mechanics, not so great. Like there's in every great lawyers, not great lawyers, great, you name it. Great teachers, not so great teachers. Like every industry, you name it, right? Absolutely. Great products, not so great products.
No,
so
sure. No, understandable. Like I think also, like my next question, my follow-up question was, there is an opportunity for somebody to become a great realtor.
absolutely.
Right? If you were speaking to someone who hasn't, made that jump to become a realtor, what would you say to them to convince them why they should be in real estate? Which is the flip side of what I just asked.
It's super competitive.
Yeah.
So, notwithstanding that, I think that there's always room for really committed people that put clients first, that are willing to work really hard, because it is an entrepreneurial business.
Yes.
So if you are wired to work hard, that you enjoy working with people, that you ensure that your mindset is, I'm going to really focus on educating myself so I can educate my clients really well, that you get excited about building a business of your own. Because really, you're an entrepreneur. It's you work hard, you're going and you get really good at this business, you can do very, very well. Absolutely. There's no doubt. But if you're kind of wired that way, if you're a real, go-getter, then I think there's a tremendous opportunity here for you. But if you are not, then I think you'll find it like you have to, you've got to be really,
Absolutely.
you have to be willing to take the long view of things as well, and say, look, I'm going to spend 5 years maybe not doing super well, but I'm going to do it right and build my business and build my
Step by step.
Step by step.
I always, I found some of my clients, after you do a, knock on wood, great job, and they love the process, you've made it very seamless, and they're not understanding the back work that it takes to get them from A to B and get it all completed and stuff. You get a great review, and then sometimes they say, you know what, my wife would like to do what you're doing, or I would like to do, or she's like, my husband, what do you think, he should do this and stuff. And often enough I say, it's great if you have the time, if you have the patience, and there's a certain way of doing things, right? And, so not to discourage those who would like to do it, because there's always room, I think, for great agents, but you have to really understand what it entails. And that's, I think, what often enough is missed.
Well, it's a gap because if you're not aware of what goes on behind the scenes and the amount of work that goes into creating a great
Yeah.
experience for a client, what it takes to meet clients, what it takes to generate a business. If you're not familiar with that, it's, you can have a perception that is not correct, right? And so I'd suggest you find if you're really interested in the industry, find a great realtor that you can shadow
Yeah.
for a couple of days. Maybe try that, or at least have a coffee with them.
Yes.
And say, tell me about, what has it taken you to get from day one with your real estate license to year 7,
Yeah.
and the activities that you had to do consistently, and what did your first 6 months look like? What did your first year 2 look like?
Absolutely.
Because, seeing somebody who's successful in year 7, 10, 20, year 1 through whatever was not, it wasn't exactly, get your real estate license and get out there and make a ton of money. Like, that's not the way the world works, unfortunately.
Yeah, absolutely. And, understanding, like, one of the first things when I first came here was when I sat down with basically everybody, and I just wanted to get a sense of what's what. And I was told, here's the game plan in terms of here's what you're supposed to expect in your first year. You could do a lot more. You could have a lot more success. You could have less, but this is what is expected of you. The amount of hours, all of those things, the amount of effort, just basically the amount of training you need to do. All of those things were laid out. And for me, I was able to push that. But I always knew that at bare minimum, I needed to give it this much time, this much effort, and basically do the things that I needed to do. And, this is probably the best advice that I've gotten. And it's all played out according to that, right? And so nobody knows how difficult it is for what I've had to deal with. Nobody knows, all the hurdles and things like that. But at the end of the day, no one told me it would be easy. And no one told me that, you can get to this and do that without doing the hard work.
100%.
Right? And the work that most people do not get to understand or see or even experience, right? And so this is why, honestly, I'm the best decision I made by coming here.
Appreciate it.
I say that over and over, and
Thank you.
I've told others to, if they're serious about what they do, to come here and work. And the bottom line is that if you put in the work, eventually it'll work out, it'll pan out, and and I appreciate that always. And if I don't tell you enough, I'm telling you here on camera as well.
I appreciate it.
Yeah, appreciate you more. But here's the thing. I have one more thing, and I just want to end it with, if you had $1 million, right? Or you could get up to $1 million to do something with it, what would you invest in Toronto's real estate today? Not necessarily Toronto, but in GTA. What would you do with that?
With $1 million in cash?
Yeah.
Or $1 million purchase price? $1 million in cash?
Let's go with purchase price.
Purchase price?
Yeah.
It's a great question. I would try and find a multi-unit residential property of 2-3 units if you could. Triplex, duplex, depending on how far outside the city you want to go, maybe fourplex.
Yeah.
And I would buy that. I would make sure I've got really good at getting great tenants.
Yeah.
I would take care of the property, so it would be a nice place for people to live in.
Yeah.
And I would hang on to that property and pay it off, and probably never sell it.
Yeah.
And maybe hopefully my next generation would enjoy the benefits of long-term ownership of it. And that's really what real estate is about, is we've we've invested ourselves over years and the slow and steady wins the race, right? It's not glamorous, not complex really, but that's what I would do. And 10, 15, 20 years from now, you'll wake up with a paid for property with great cash flow and never regret it.
Absolutely. Yeah, this has been good. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Happy to help.
And as always, appreciate you guys for all that you do. And I really believe that a lot of those that are working hard, putting the effort, will actually be able to, exceed some of the expectations that were brought in at the beginning of this year.
Yes.
I should say, right?
Yeah.
So really appreciate you, Chris.
Appreciate the time.
Thanks
for the invite.
much. And I'll try bring out some more questions another time. All right?
Fantastic. Look forward to it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye.